makes people melt. And it's magic. It's like pure magic. And it happens in a very simple way with puppetry, and it kind of happens every time.
Welcome, friends. I'm Kristen Martin, and this is Torches. Today we have creative innovator Basil Twist. Basil's an award-winning puppeteer, including MacArthur and Rome Prizes, and director of HERE's Dream Music Puppetry program. I'm really excited to speak with my longtime friend today. Welcome, Basil.
Hi, Kristen. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So, how did you come to be in downtown performance?
Oh, right. How did that start? When I first came to New York, I very early on met Julie Taymor, and she was working with Music Theater Group and Lynn Austin and Diane Wenisford, and I got involved in Juan Darien, which was at St. Clement's Church, right. But there were also people in that show, particularly Stephen Kaplan, who is a puppeteer and mentor and hero of mine still. That kind of connected me to downtown. And then Stephen, yeah, I guess it was Stephen, who suggested, he kind of offered me some work at Theater for the New City with George Bartenieff and Karen Malpede. So that was pretty downtown. I did some, crazy thing for them for hardly any money, and I made this giant buffalo, and I performed it, and I did the whole run of a play called Better People. And that, I guess that got me in. Like, that was me in, working on a show downtown and creating. That's kind of my first thing.
Yeah, and you also had a little foray into doing things in clubs, doing puppets in clubs, and yeah.
That came a few years later. So right after that, I went to France, and I went to this amazing puppetry school, and then
Charleville.
In Charleville-Mézières, and I spent 3 years there, and that was amazing, and still has a huge impact on who I am as an artist.
The only American to graduate from that school.
I'm the only American still to have graduated from that school. Over that time, I would come back. I met Roman Pasca, sort of through that, and got involved in the. And I met Theodora Skepetaris. It's through Theodora that I found out about Charleville. So I had met Theodora. I had met some other downtown puppet people. Roman Pasca was someone who I got to know, and I would come back during the summers, and I was working with Roman. He was part of the first Henson Festival that happened at the Public Theater, the International Puppet Festival. So I was working with Roman, and then I got involved in that and met a lot of people, of course, through that. But I also met my former boyfriend, Bobby Miller, who was a photographer, poet, multi-everything, hair and makeup artist, who was the drag nurse to most of the queens in the city, and I got involved in this queer nightlife and Boy Bar and Mother and Jackie 60 and started doing shows on stages where people were standing and drinking, and you had to do a different kind of show than
right.
You had to do in a theater setting.
Yes.
So that was a whole different schooling for me when I got into that world, and I met a lot of also incredible, fabulous downtown creatures, and those kind of worlds just started resonating more and more, as this fabulous downtown world of art and performance and nighttime and queerness and wildness.
Yeah. So you're a third generation puppeteer in your family? Were you always destined to be a puppeteer, or did you go away from it and come back to it? Or I've never heard that origin story part.
So my there's puppetry in my family, but it's not like a Sicilian puppeteer who's
Right.
passed from father to son, the tradition. My mother was a amateur puppeteer when I was a little kid. She was part of a group of moms in San Francisco whose activity that they chose to do was to put on puppet shows. And they did birthday parties in hospitals, and I was there backstage, side stage, and I loved it. And then my mother's father, my grandfather, who I never met because he died before I was born, but he was a big band leader primarily, and he also used puppets as part of his act. And you know this because those
Yes.
puppets are on display at here.
Yes.
Incidentally, it was Bobby who brought me to here the first time
Ah.
because I was performing with y'all.
Oh my
Remember
gosh.
y'all?
Stephen,
Yeah.
Jess Lichtenmeyer, and Jay Bird.
Uh-huh. So that was the first time I came to here.
I didn't remember that was the first time you
Yeah,
performed it here.
that
It was with
the,
y'all.
and Bobby was doing his performance poetry, and then he dragged me along. So that's how I got into lots of doors, is with with following Bobby around. But that's how I got to here.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
Awesome.
So sorry, I digress. My mother and my grandfather had some puppetry thing going on, and I just got into it as a kid. I actually was completely passionate about puppetry as a child, and I was shy, and that's a good. That's a reason a lot of puppeteers get into puppetry. It's like you have a theatrical flair and you want attention, but you don't want too much attention to yourself. So you can hide behind the couch and put your puppet up and get a reaction. I used to go to school. I can't believe I did this, but I would do like a book report with a puppet. Um, because it was like a coping mechanism for me
Right.
as a way to even be able to speak in public. But of course, I got, A pluses for my efforts.
For your creativity.
And so I wanted to be a puppeteer. I wanted to be a Muppeteer. I was totally of the Sesame Street generation, and I was obsessed with the Muppet Show and just totally crazy about that. And I had Miss Piggy posters on my walls, completely covering every square inch. And at some point, as I got into high school, I thought, I can't do that, or somehow that wasn't, I couldn't really be a puppeteer, and that I needed to maybe put this away because it felt both childish and or effeminate, because it's like playing with dolls, and I certainly was into Miss Piggy, and and I was like anxious about my sexuality,
Right.
and I was in high school, and I put everything away. And it wasn't until it was like 2 years later, maybe 3 years later, when I finished high school and was trying to go to college, and I started at Oberlin, and I just was losing my mind. Like, what am I doing in this liberal arts college? What do I want to study? What do I want to do? I hate it here. I hate Ohio. I hate everybody. And I found a book that was Internships in the Arts, because I was desperate to find something else. And I found about an internship an internship at the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where our nation's largest institution about puppetry is based, is in Atlanta. And I applied. Right. I thought, boom, that's what I love. That's what I'm good at. That's what I spent most of my life doing, except for the past
Couple
2 or
of
3
years.
years. I'm gonna do this. And I just jumped in totally. And I moved to New York. I came to New York. I was a visiting student at NYU to get here from Oberlin, and I immediately met Julie Taymor, and everything just snowballed. And then I ditched the whole thing, and then I went to puppetry school in France. So, yes, I was always into puppetry as a kid.
I love it.
And I had a moment where I thought, I can't really do this. And now look at me, I'm really doing it.
You once said puppetry is belief, and that idea is more powerful than the real thing. Is that what grounds your work? Like you were just saying, doing your book report with the puppet.
Well, first I want to quote, the great Paula Vogel, who I was fortunate enough to work with. And she said this great thing, because people talk a lot about the suspension of disbelief in puppetry. And she was like, the suspension of disbelief, what the fuck? It's belief. I just love that she said that. But it is belief, and it's I don't know. I mean, I didn't think of it this way as a kid, and I still am, like, I go back and look at, like, what is it? And people ask me, what is it about puppetry? As a child, I just connected. I connected to those things, and I see it all the time. For example, when I do my stickman puppet and break him out, I see people melt. Like they just drop, everything changes in the room. The way that people, somehow something breaks open that is very primal, where people see life. And that, it's sort of, I know, it's a very profound thing, because we're alive. You're alive and I'm alive.
Right.
And we think that thing is not alive. But when the thing, it seems like it's alive, it puts everything in question and kind of puts front and center this mystery about being alive. I don't know if it's so much a question of belief. It's just it's a question of faith. It's a question of spirit. And puppetry puts it right there in a very profound way for us. And it makes people melt. And it's magic. It's like pure magic. And that is the magic of belief. That's the magic of imagination. It's the magic of the spirit. It's all those things. And it happens in a very simple way with puppetry. And it kind of happens every time. And it's magic.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you think that music has that element also? You always work with music, almost always.
Yeah.
Music is a big element of your work.
Yeah.
Does music provide that same kind of magical transformation or emotional bed for people?
I think so. Yes. Sometimes I feel like I use music as a crutch. Sometimes because I don't do text, I'm not a dramatist who uses plays and words. I very rarely have.
Right.
And sometimes I beat myself up about that, like, because people frequently, if I go to a wedding or something and I meet people and they say, "What do you do for a living?" And I say, "I'm a puppeteer." And one of the first things they always say is, do you do a lot of voices?"
Oh.
And I don't.
No.
I don't.
I'm not a ventriloquist.
And then I feel like a loser. Like I'm a loser puppeteer because I don't do voices. I work with music more. I'm more of a dancer than an actor in a way. I connect with dance as theater often more than drama. I mean, it's also my grandfather and my mother were musical, so I'm musical. I used to sing. I don't know, I just connect with music like we all do. And I kind of have followed some of how, like in Symphonie Fantastique, which was abstract, it's not totally narrative. It doesn't have to make sense or tell a specific story with a moral or anything. It can just be pure feeling and pure spirit and connection. And that works better with my kind of puppetry, I think.
Yeah, and you do work from abstract to narrative. And what do you learn from working in those different ways? Because you work also on other projects where there's a narrative going along and the puppets are a part of the storytelling, but not the only storytelling. In your own work, the puppets are the storytelling. So can you just talk about the difference for you in working in those different contexts?
I've been doing a lot of collaborating over the past 10 years. I mean, it's part of, to be honest, it's also part of the, it's a little bit safer place because just in terms of creating your own pieces, and I'm not. I think I'm a. I think I make amazing stuff for pretty cheap, but my shows are kind of labor intensive and
Yes.
intense, and so they can be expensive, and as a passion project, they can deplete me in multiple ways, including financially. So that's part of the 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 fear of the knife's edge of doing experimental work is like, are people going to dig it? Is it going to reap rewards that feel like what you need?
Yeah.
And being a collaborator is a safer place. It's because you're not a producer in the same way. I mean, I'm kind
Right.
of when you're producing your own work with help.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a great collaborator, and my, I learned to collaborate, I think, really well when I was working with Mabu Mines, and Lee Brewer was like a great collaborative spirit for me, so that I can get into people's vision and I help create impossible things, and I've been doing that well, and that's been working a lot for me the past 10 years. I'll say, though, I long for those days when I would make my own shows. And so still looking for that space and feeling that that's gurgling up. But I love, if this is the right collaborator, I love collaborating with people. And the puppetry is this nexus of all of these different disciplines. So I end up working in lots of ways with lots of different artists, scenic designers or projection designers or costume designers, or a director or a set designer. It's very, my work kind of bleeds into all of those things.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes I'll do all of those things, and I've done some projects, some opera projects, for example, where I do all that stuff. And that's fun. But mostly I am always at service to the music, especially in those kind of projects, like an opera project. Please come and help mount this piece of music. It's different than me choosing the music that works for my vision.
Yes. Yes.
Which is how it's been sometimes.
How is it different making for an opera work or a West End house or a Broadway house to working in small theater like here? You did arias and symphony originally in the small space downstairs, the Dorothy B. Williams, named after your grandmother.
Yes.
How do you take risks in those larger spaces? Are you able to take as much risk there? What are thoughts about what the constrictions or freedoms are in the different types of spaces?
It's hard to, I don't know, actually. I just did this huge project, the Monkey King opera at San Francisco Opera, which was thrilling for me.
Congratulations, amazing reviews.
Thank you.
I didn't get to see it yet, but I know I will.
It was great, especially because I'm from San Francisco. So that meant a lot to me to be in that big opera house. And it's a very grand opera house. But in particular, there are so many rules there. That's a very intensely unionized environment and a very specific process that they work with. And I always feel like an outsider. I always have, and I think it's a good way to feel, actually, to enter a project. But in fact, I've worked on many operas, and I shouldn't feel like such an outsider. And that particular experience had more rules, more limitations, more specific ways you had to do it than I had ever experienced. And I had to still do it, and I had to also respect the way that people worked there, and this is how it's done there, and I can't fight it. And so I just have to work with that and respect that the people there there are these rules and regulations in place to protect people, and people there love their jobs, and they've been there a lot of people have been there for over 20 years, and So that was a really interesting environment to be in that was so different from the freewheelingness of downtown at here, where I can get on a ladder at any hour and I can do whatever
You have the keys.
I have the keys and, I can do, there's no, within reason, but there's the real freedom to just do it however I need to. And it was interesting just doing this project where sometimes I wanted to just get up there on stage and do it myself. But I couldn't and didn't. And I also respected that. And part of it also was because I that specific project was one where I wanted to uplift the organization too, the San Francisco Opera. I thought they need a little push from me to give them something more challenging, but I also have to respect how they rise to that challenge, and support them in the way that they do it, and that all made sense to me in a way. Like there was a moment where I would grumble about it, but at the same time, I had to respect how they do it, how they make it happen. And then really appreciating how they made it happen in a way that took care of people, that was reasonable, that was safe, that was solid, that was serious. That's the kind of a seriousness about the art, which I respected and appreciated. And it would have been, the result would not have been the same if I had been trying to do it all myself on a ladder in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It's just, so, I don't know, just each project is different.
Right.
And I was reminded of my hands-on, can-do-it attitude when I want to be that way and I'm sort of stopped.
Right.
But I also respect that too. So I don't know. I also, I'm excited for the Puppet Parlor next week because I'm going to hang the snow bag at the last minute on a ladder, and people are going to say, "Basil, don't stand on that step," and it'll be fine. I'll say, "I know this. I know the grid. I can hang on to it," and I love that I can do both of those things.
Are there other ways that institutions have supported or not supported your work that you'd want to share, or that they've failed to support your work?
There are ways in that immediate experience I've had with the Monkey King where I can say, "Oh, they should have supported me differently." People don't understand the field of puppetry. They just don't.
And what it takes to make it happen.
Yeah, and very few people do. And I have to say, I don't, it's very different. Every project is different. And, I always jump into something that I have no idea about, actually. But when I work with other institutions or other even downtown collaborators, just, of course, people can understand what it takes to how to approach something from a puppetry point of view. It's rare that people understand that. So they don't know, and they don't know that they don't know, and it doesn't even show up until I'm sort of confronted
You're in
with.
it.
Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that people miss the mark, and that's part of why I guess I feel always like an outsider or a kind of underdog. Because I know that people don't know. And so I can't think of an immediate place where, wow, those people really let me down. I mean,
I wasn't going to make you name names. I was
Yeah.
just curious. I'm more curious about examples as a lesson for people to think about. So maybe this instead. If there's one thing you could change about institutions, what would that be?
oh gosh. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Every institution is different in how they work, and all of the, arts institutions that I've engaged with, be it San Francisco Opera or La Mama or, everybody is committed to the art, basically. People are. They are. At times it may seem like they're committed to the bottom line or they're committed to some other thing, but they're not really. People are in it for the art. It's outrageous to put on a puppet show or any kind of live performance. It's like,
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And it's kind of like becoming more and more apparent how, wow, that is hard. And so I salute everybody who is trying. And I don't know, I can't think of a specific thing to say for institutions to specifically help support puppetry more. If people are enthused about it, they'll get behind it.
Great.
And people generally are.
You talked a little bit about this in terms of the way that your working method works, but are there other ways that access to resources has changed the way you make things?
I've moved away from making everything myself or in-house or in my studio. I mean, I used to make everything really by myself with my hands. And then I started bringing in lots of people to help me. But I've started working with outside, vendors or other companies that can hold that more completely, especially once I started to work on Broadway. I couldn't keep up with the maintenance and stuff. So I'm good at innovating and coming up with ideas and expressing an idea in a prototype and as the basic way of here's how we're doing this. And then the actual nuts and bolts of how it is, maintained and repaired over time.
8 shows a week and all
It's
that?
best
Yes.
to let somebody else deal with that. And so, I'm still struggling to find the right partners, but I know that that's always that's a better way for me to go nowadays, is to work with other craftspeople who are outside of my organization, who take full responsibility for it. I really love that. And and it's also great for me to work with other people with greater skills, and they seem to like working with me because I have different ideas. So it's more, I guess that's one place. But I still, when it comes down to it, like sometimes if there's not enough resources, I'm like, well, then let's just get busy in my basement studio with the paper mache or the bunch of wonderful, eager people to make it happen.
Do you have thoughts about how artists can have truly sustainable lives? It's a really hard time for artists, and it's a hard time in America in general, but yeah.
I'm not sure. I've been super blessed. I've been very, very blessed. I was blessed. I came from, my family was well off when I was growing up, and my parents were supportive, and I've lucked out with people that I've met and great things that have happened to me. So I feel really fortunate. And I've had those moments too when I thought I was on top of the world and I was in major debt and had no idea what was going to happen next and was scared. And somehow then something else comes along and fixes it. And I've been blessed, but it's grace that's kind of led me through in those moments when I didn't know what to do, and then just something beautiful shows up. So I want that for everybody.
Yeah.
And I believe it's possible. But I don't know what the formula is. It's just persistence and faith, I think.
Right.
And hard work.
Yeah.
And it's good to have talent. Yeah. But it's good to be, to be kind and positive to people. And I think that comes back.
Yeah.
But I don't have I don't have a a parachute. I don't have, if I wasn't a puppeteer, I don't know what I would do. I'm not very skilled in any other thing. So I hope this keeps working out for me.
Seems like it's working out pretty well.
I hope so. But yeah, literally, I just finished the opera and
You don't know what's next?
I'm not sure what's next and how long is that going to go. And, fortunately, my husband is working on Broadway.
Yay.
So,
Yay, Ken.
yeah.
That's thrilling.
Yeah.
Has your identity or lived experience affected your aesthetic?
Sure. I mean, especially as a gay man. But I don't, but I can't, it's kind of impossible to see. I'm like, I've never thought of myself as, I had no agenda or politics that I wanted to put into my work, but I'm gay. And that just shows up in who you are, how you relate to the world, who you know, who you see, and your, I don't know, my visual flair. It's just, so that is twinned somehow, but I don't see it as like a cause and effect thing. It's just like who I am, and it just shows up in my work. I'm more aware of it now, like that's who I am and it's distinct. But when I was, younger, I just was I was just doing my thing. I had no specific point to make, and I actually felt very separate from people, from artists who were speaking to their identity or putting forward their identity and having a conversation about that was never part of my game. But I'm aware that I have spoken in a certain way and expressed in a certain way that other young queer people respond to, that resonates for people. But as I say, it's kind of, it feels the same. It's nothing has pushed one or the other. They've just kind of developed as who I am.
What do you think about legacy? What do you want your work to leave behind for next generation, for artists, for audiences?
I don't know. I feel pretty great about the stuff I've done. I'm like amazed that, I look at things like the puppet parlor. It's like been happening for 27 years. Like these things.
The Puppet Parlor is an annual puppet series at Here.
Yes. A little
who don't
puppet cabaret that we kind of throw together. And then all these things that I've been doing for decades. It kind of blows my mind that these things have become traditions, that they are legacies already. And as I revisit pieces, bringing back Symphonie Fantastique or Dogu Gaeshi, or talking about bringing back Arias of the Twist, just things that are like decades ago. Whoa. So that's already a legacy of what my work is, and how much it, I think there's a community of puppeteers who engaged with it, who were excited by it, who were inspired by it, and who are making their own work, and that's thrilling to me. That's meaningful to me.
Yeah. Do you think the spirit of downtown still exists, and where do you see it?
I'm sure that the spirit of downtown still exists, and I don't get to see it as much because I've barely been in New York for the past year and a half. I don't go to shows as much as I feel like I should or something. I wasn't someone who saw everything. But I know it exists. I know it's different. I know it's different now. And just even talking with you right now reminds me how, oh God, those days. But I know it exists. I know that there are young people who are passionate and who are artists and who will just find a way. New York invites that, New York encourages that, and downtown still encourages that, and here still exists, and La Mama still exists, and there's all this stuff in Brooklyn. Always young people coming to the city who want to do stuff, and I'm just a little older. And so I may not be as hip to everything going on. But I see it. I believe it's still here. I know it is.
And how do you define success now? Has that definition changed over time?
I still, it still is great when people like your work. And so that's, and people still seem to like my work, so that's thrilling. It's also great when I make, I don't know, I was thrilled to move more into the opera world, to take more creative responsibility in bigger projects. That feels like an achievement and success for me personally as an artist. I like to be happy and at peace, and I'll say that so frequently. So every project has its dark night of the soul, where you're like, oh my God, I wish this would end. I wish this would go away. I mean, I do get tortured. That's somehow part of my process.
It's part of mine too. I think it's the vulnerability of creation. It's this fear that everything that you're doing is for nothing, or that it doesn't work, or that no one's going to like it. There's a vulnerability to that.
And it's also like sometimes I don't know, I get into I'm at the effect of other things, and I'm somehow victimized by this project that I've somehow trapped myself in. And I claw my way out or to the finish line. It happens almost every time that I do that. And so I'm like, God, whoa, it'd be great to do something with ease, with more peace to it. And then some projects have more challenge and drama to them. But I don't know, success now for me, I just want to be happy and do cool things. That's all.
That's great. Could you share a moment of pure joy in one of your projects for you?
There was so much joy when we made Arias with a Twist. That had a lot to do with my collaborator, Joey Arias. He just brought so much joy to it and fun. And I don't know, just the surrealness of it and the absurdity of it. And this is, I don't know, just a funny moment that I just remember where we were working at Here. Here was still under construction. And so it was an opportunity for us to really work in the space because the space was closed, but it was a construction site. So we were down in Here and we were rehearsing and we were working on the jungle scene, and Joey was swinging in the little swing and some pizza delivery guy just walked on stage, came through and just walked on stage with the pizza. And it was part of it was so hilarious. And Joey was not in full drag, but was in heels and, and on a swing in this jungle set in a construction site. And it was just part of the marvelous world of being downtown and working at Here and just having something crazy happen at that moment that was perfect and made us all laugh and somehow fed into the show. I don't know. That just came up for some reason. I have so great to be part of the downtown world in New York City and to have connections with all of these different institutions and companies and theaters and some of them which are gone and many that remain, and just, and how awesome it is to still be at Here. And what an awesome place that is, and how much that's connected me to so many people and also so many other institutions, that kind of web that connects us all. It was so true at Here, and you did a great job there.
Thanks,
shedding a
Basil.
tear. It's just so I know I love that place, and I'm proud to still be connected with it and to have my grandmother's name there, and it's so cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Basil Twist, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my God. Is our time up already? That was so.
Our time is up already.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I would happily talk with you for hours more.
Thank you. And thanks to HowlRound for hosting us, and we hope you'll come back to see more of Torches.